Building blocks, reprogram micropods, live on camera, and watch as things inevitably go kablooey. So, we'll be starting off tonight, first by me taking chat out of emote only mode, there we go, by doing a little bit with various oddities to show off some stuff I've been working on this past week, and then we'll be switching over to various equipment so we can continue work on wings, which are possibly the most heavily requested feature I have had for cosmetics in a mod ever, which granted it a short list, but there's also a ton of cosmetics already, so you know, one way or another. But yes, this past week I have been chiefly working on character creation. There is a screen that I have been trying to get into the opening parts of various oddities for a while now, and it has just kind of lain by the wayside as I've worked on possession and such, which is also still a work in progress. But once we get this screen done, that effect done, that function, utility, I don't know, done, I can push out a new version of various oddities and the whole thing will be happy to go. But anyways, this is what we more or less recognize already as our character creation screen. You just cycle through and you pick a species. Called a species because calling them a race has some fairly unpleasant implications in 2022. So, yep. I do kind of want to redo this a little bit, because having to manually cycle through things to find the one you want, like, if you're looking for a species that begins with the letter M, for instance, you're gonna have to cycle through half of the list, always. And granted, you more or less only have to do this once, but it's not the most... It's not necessarily the most convenient thing. It does force you to actually look at the details as you go through, but on a server with a whole ton of species, because this is data pack driven, that could be unpleasant, in short. So that's a thing I maybe want to fix up later on. I'm actually just going to skip character creation for a hot second and change into survival mode, because there is a meaningful distinction there. So our list is a lot more curtailed now. I can still select Green Dragon, because currently the setting is that you can pick up to 6 stars worth of species power, as it were. We're just gonna go real simple and pick Lizardfolk. And here is the new screen, which has evidently decided to use a completely different icon set. That's fascinating. Where and why has it done that exactly? Ah, because of the stars. I see. Yeah, let me just fix that up. Over there. Off you go. But, bearing in mind, this should not be using the ability icons. That's because of the drawing of the stars here. That's just happening. Here we have the template selection screen in its current form. This is not final. I don't want things to be clipping or showing off down here, that kind of thing. And I also don't want to have just like dirt up here. I kind of want, I'm moving towards a direction, I think, where it's like you can't see the world whilst doing character creation, but we'll see. So, on the left here, we have the default state of your selected species. If we hover over it, we can see its type, we can see its attacks, defenses, and utilities. Those are its abilities sorted. On the right, we can currently see the exact same thing, because we haven't picked any actual templates here. Let's pick Celestial. Oh, yeah, Insectile. I'm reading the top of the line and not actually looking at where I'm going. And we'll notice there's now 3 stars up here and 7 abilities, because it has applied all of the properties of Insectile, which we can see by hovering over here. You can right side of it's applied, left side of it's unapplied, that kind of thing. And you can see the preconditions, so the things that you need to meet in order to be able to apply a given template. And you can also see the operations, the things that happen to your character when you apply a given template. So let's just apply Zombie. And you'll notice that we had a bunch more templates here that have now vanished. That is because this side automatically filters out anything that could not be applied to your current selection. That is your base species plus all your current applied templates. And what that means is that you can go through and select whatever you like, as long as you like, and you'll always end up with something that is valid and okay. You will never be able actually to select any invalid template. To that end, the listing of the preconditions is predominantly just so that you know what a given template relies upon. We can move these out of order, but generally speaking, it should be a matter of templates are only applied as long as you can actually apply them. I probably do want to add a little bit of clarification to this side to make sure that actually is the case when you remove a given one. Anyways, so like when you remove one, like say there was a template that relies on you being an aberration. We're currently base humanoid, so we need to add a template that makes you aberration, like insectile. But if we then removed insectile, we're now a humanoid, but we still have a template that relies on us being an aberration. That doesn't make sense, does it? That's a thing I need to remember. But anyways, you select your templates. You have a cap up to the server limit of of your number of stars. Currently, that's just hard-coded to 6, but that will be a server config variable soon. And then you just hit finalize. Straightforward. I will say, currently, we do not actually have templates being applied through that packet, but you know, we're getting there. But yeah, we've got a ton of templates here that we can just have, and there we go. No, you can't be, there's no templates for anything that goes into Undead, so for right now it's just that. Although I probably could add those. There's a thought. I can add a bunch more templates, couldn't I? So if we wanted to be a flying undead troglodyte, there we go. Natural armor +6. That's free, like, chest plates, I guess, of armor. Undead reptile. Yep. But basically, this just gives us a bunch of versatility, so you can define species as being the broadest strokes of what your character is like in terms of their physical, like, default abilities, and then you can tack on templates to customize them and tweak them further. So that way, you can have, say, a group of players on a server that are all the same species, but their abilities are not necessarily identical. So you can play a Necropolitan, for instance. Now you're undead. You can still heal because of a natural resilience on the Necropolitan template, but you're undead. You can have people that have wings, so maybe they are a revered shaman of their tribe or whatever, or like maybe they have been blessed by the gods, or maybe they have a little teeny trace of angel blood going through their veins, that kind of thing, or maybe they just hecked up with some transmutation spells back in the day or something. It gives us much more detail for our characters in terms of their physical and such capabilities. And if you are in creative mode, as we just were, we can select whatever we like, because now you'll note the preconditions aren't listed. Creative players can select whatever they like. It doesn't care. So for instance, I now have 17 stars instead of 6, and 19 abilities. The expectation is that if you're in creative mode, you are probably an admin, but also you're like you are probably doing something significant that would be potentially hindered by actually having to obey the limitations normally set in. So, yeah, we can do whatever we like if we're in creative mode. But yeah, I see Cam is in the chat. I believe you requested this. I don't know if I've shown this off before, but Dark Vision is now an activated ability. So we just watch the shadows over here. We can see that we can in fact toggle this. And because the status effect abilities don't actually give you a status effect, they just spoof that you have it active, the change is instantaneous. So yeah, you can see the lighting changing there. Very good. A lot more convenience than constantly playing with Dark Vision, because that made it fairly hard to judge light levels, which is an important thing if you're trying to mob-proof your like basement or something. So yeah, there's that. So what we are quickly going to try and get going today. Firstly, we're going to make sure this has the right textures. It should. You never know. We're going to add a QC, quality control, to the applied templates list whenever you remove something. And then we're going to try and tie in this button to actually apply templates and such. You had a nudge when you mistypecasted yourself and couldn't see the shadows in the Great Forge to get the right effect from the Forge. Yeah. As I say, we want to make things user-friendly as much as we can. When you weren't a Fey shapeshifter. Nice. Okay. So, let's see. When we remove a template, we want to go through the applied and make sure that every template is actually applicable in order. Anything that isn't, we want to remove it. So... I don't think we have any examples that currently work like that. I don't actually care too much. But, oh well. So let me see. That's going to require a while loop. So let's see. Boolean no hits, I guess, equals true. Actually, let's set it to false, I guess. So, let me think. We're going to need to test a given template as we go through. Stuff from the point of order. The options you have, the valid templates, those are all actually sorted by alphabetical. The applied ones are actually in order of application. This is because templates are order of operation. Meaning, if we apply a template that makes you undead, we can then apply a template that only applies to undead. But if we sorted those alphabetically, the one that is applied to undead could appear after the one that makes you undead, complicating matters and determining exactly what knock-on effect removing a template will have. So, yeah. Okay. So, iterate through applied templates. Breaking when invalid found. There. Okay. Straightforward. So for template in applied. Extant. Just it's fine. It's just the input one is in his whole template there as well. Okay. So, where do I have process templates? There you are. Can I make this a little bit more useful? I think I can. This is just the function that actually takes your creature types and your ability list and then just applies the templates in order. Used to actually tell us what's going on. And we are going to want... do we just want to get this list of templates? I think. That's not going to work because those aren't list objects, so there is no for each. So for template in templates. What's your point? Reduce our footprint very slightly here by reducing the amount of looping we're doing. These are fairly lightweight and they're only happening client side, so they won't they won't impact the server, but it's an important thing to know. Loops inside of these as well, these functions. Understandably, so. Okay. So now we can just say return process templates applied templates. To array, I guess. There. Okay. So now that we got this function, when we go to remove one, we can iterate through. It factors in the base ability, like the base by itself anyways. So we just need to process it through, get the pairing, and then we can test if it's a viable template after that. I believe. But we do then need to have a pair in here to accepting get process templates. So public boolean test template in, and then a pair of types and the ability map. Okay. And then we just return test templates, template in, against get processed templates. There. Expanding existing functions to do just a little bit more. Reusable code, the foundation of basically everything. Okay. So when we remove a template, we need to get a subset of all of the things we've tested already. So list, template, tested. Right. Actually, we can probably say... tested and applied dot size is greater than 1. Or not. I'm just thinking, because we need to have at least one thing in here, or else it's just going to be testing the base anyways. So... okay. So a pair of the types and a map of map names to abilities. Okay. If extant test template. Extant against at step. Then we just need to add that there. Otherwise, we need to break out of this loop and say that we found a hit, which is to say we found a thing that does not actually work for this. So break. And we want to say a template. So then we want to break out of this loop and then remove that from the list of applieds, because if we try to remove it whilst we're in the loop, it'll cause what's called a concurrent modification error, which is to say two things trying to modify the same list at the same time. It's like, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. Someone trying to put a box on top of a stack of boxes whilst someone else is removing from the bottom of them. that's the easiest way I could think to describe it. Found does not equal null, then applied dot remove it found. Otherwise, no hits is true. Just to say, we got through the entire list, we didn't exit out, and we didn't find any we didn't find any hits, so at that point the loop should end. Does that look correct? Can we actually just get a subset? Yes, we can. Okay, I'll save me a bit of trouble here. That introduces another loop. I was going to turn this into an iterative rather than a for each, effectively. By which I mean I was going to make that actually carry, like, just increment an index value, and then just retrieve the template from the list. But in order to then generate a sublist, we have to iterate through the whole thing, so it's just one more loop. Just easy to keep that list right there. We will still have to process the templates, but it's fine. Okay. And then we update that, so everything should be good. Do I have any templates that apply to something other than a humanoid or some such? Preconditions. Is corporeal, is living. There's no non-living. So,
A new challenger approaches.
Let's see. Operation Fiendish template works, maybe, but that actually also allows for humanoid. More or less all of our starting races here are humanoids, because that's just kind of the way things go. Is there anything we could actually use to break? We could add reptilian. Maybe. Turns us into a giant / humanoid. Just adds the reptilian subtype, but Is human-shaped precondition doesn't quite exist in our data at the current moment, so Hey Dusty. How you doing? Well, I can at least put a Sizz out in here to see what happens. Okay. Snowed a lot today? Oh, fun. We haven't had any snow this whole winter, pretty much, I think. Maybe like an odd flurry, but not a whole ton. see what it gets. I also need to add the randomize button to the actual window, which basically just randomly selects templates as long as it can, up to the limitations being, are there any valid templates and are you within the power level? Obviously, if you're in creative mode, that's basically all of them, just in a random order. But order of operation is important in templates, so you never know quite what you're going to end up with. That's effectively just like a matter of, if players just want to have some completely unknown thing to deal with. Which, you know, a lot of players like to push a randomizer on a character creation screen, so... Okay, start off by picking troglodytes. That's a good standby. Okay, there's what our actual textures are supposed to look like, by the way. So, yay. I evidently have a line somewhere. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Originally, I had just like I had like a light bulb over here, and I figured the actual like magnifying glass that increases in scale makes a bit more sense. But okay, let's add. Oh, I'm still in creative mode, so everything should pass, shouldn't it? 1 second. Helps if you actually type survival line. Thank you very much. Okay. Troglodytes. Insects. Let's add celestial on that list, and let's remove insect. Okay, checking existing templates, testing celestial, passed, check passed. Good. Okay. Winged. Yep, passed, good. Again, we don't actually have anything that we could theoretically test this on, but it's a check. Yeah, looks like it is going okay. If I add Necropolitan, nothing's gonna really work. Nothing is really gonna happen much. At least not at that stage. So let's go with more or less everything is 2-star. This now goes to 6, but fiendish. Necropolitan. So we're now an undead extraplanar troglodyte. a fiendish necropolitan troglodyte, apparently. Damage reduction 5 to overcome by magic, natural armor +6, resistance to cold and fire 5, dark vision and unnatural resilience, and once per day we can use Smite Holy. Okay, if I remove fiendish. Yeah, okay. Next question. If we go back to creative, where the power level and the actual, like, requirements no longer matter, we should at least get a bit of a longer loop. So let's just take out fiendish. Okay, testing existing templates. Celestial passed, Insectile passed, Lich failed. Celestial passed, Insectile passed, a Necropolitan failed, because we're an aberration, so we're not humanoid. Oh hey, we do have something that works. Celestial, Insectile, and then Reptilian failed, because we're not a humanoid. Celestial, Insectile, Winged failed, because, I think, yeah, wings, I don't recall. Celestial, Insectile, and Zombie then passed, so it took out all of these things, because we no longer met the actual qualifications. So, hey, it worked! That's good. So let's see, Winged requires, if types include any of animal, vermin, or humanoid, but because we have zombie in here, because we have insectile in here, it became an aberration. So, that's what happened there. Good! We're functioning by design. Except that because we're creative, it should actually be removing that, but it shouldn't. It should not care if you're creative. But hey, we got to test it properly. Hurrah! So QC functional. Hooray! Just gonna call this quality control. There. Okay. So when we test a template be to check if it is, in fact, creative. I'm fairly certain I do that when I get the viable templates. Yeah, if player is creative, just all of them. Except for the ones that we already have applied. I think. So, let's see. How do I do this? Test? Yeah. There. Okay. But yay. That's good. That's what we should be seeing. We should be seeing that breakout. Okay, let's add the button to randomize now, I think. Real quick. Shouldn't take us too long. There's the lists. There's the buttons. Okay. Yeah, so I get 60 right. And for the moment, we'll just say it actually says randomize, hard code. So removes everything from the list, gets your current system time, so it's different every single time you push the button, and then from the list of viable templates, it just randomly applies them. So let's see, either that or you're creative. Once again, we don't want to not care if the player is creative. I presume under most circumstances a creative mode player is going to have a little bit more of a plan, but it'd be weird to give survival players an option that we don't give to creative players. So. We have a Dinky Dagger. Thank you very much for that, Dusty. Okay. So now we got this randomize button up top. Probably not staying there, just putting it out there immediately. And if we click it, it should just select all of these things in a random order. So, yep, that's not alphabetical, so that is definitely what just happened. If we hit it again, yep. Yeah, we can see my ability count up top there is changing, as well as my creature types, because order of operations. Good! If I go to survival mode... Not a zombie that time. Wow, okay. But yeah, so this is just a way that players can randomize things and get a surprise to play with, effectively. You and your British candies? What is a candy, exactly? This isn't, like... This isn't caramel. I believe you mean a sweet? So yay. Interesting, it left off Necropolitan. Necropolitan is a 0. That's what that grey star means. That presumably means there is a slight flaw inside of here. Options.size should be 1 in that case, so not seeing any errors down here. You're a zombie troglodyte. Okay. Weaknesses: burns in sunlight. Oh, that would be an unpleasant way to start the game, wouldn't it? Okay. Do I have the time to modify the packet that tells the server what your species is to include the list of templates in the next 10 minutes? Well, we can dang well try. So let's see, this wants to be an array of resource locations. This should more or less only break one area, I think. Oh, no, it's an array input, so it actually doesn't care too much. Is that in the correct place? Packet species selected. Should be. What's it complaining about? Consorter. Resource location, boolean. Yep, okay. Where? Nope. Doesn't like having an array of templates. Okay, why? Oh, because I said resource location, not template. Of course. Of course, now I get you. So we want... template names. Okay, so applied dot get templates to for each template names dot add templates that is the wrong kind of template, which is interesting. Operations registry name. There. Template names to array. Okay. Now once it gets there, we now need to actually store it in the encode and decode. Which is a teensy bit more tricky. Because now I need to effectively be giving it an entire thing. It might just be easy to store this data as like a compound. Honestly, that would probably be much easier. Yeah, I'm gonna store it as a compound. That's gonna be way easier. Okay. So to that end, we do want to write the unique ID, no question. compound MBT data. Put boolean. Keep types. And then if the selected species does not equal null, then data put string. Yes, put string. The species. That would be message dot selected species dot to string. And then a list MBT of templates. String MBT is one of the weird ones. There. Okay. And data, put templates there. Because then we can just do that. That is far easier to pull back out of. Okay. So now, the decode part. So let's see, if data dot contains species string NBT, I believe is an 8. What is it? No, yeah, there's a good. Whew, remembered it for once. So it does have that. They did select a. That means that they did select a species. Boolean keep types equals data get boolean keep types. Straightforward enough. Otherwise, that okay. Okay, that gets us our species. Return new packet species. Selected player species types. Yep, selects it. Good. And then we need our list of strings for templates. So list NBT templates equals data get list templates, and I believe string would again be 8. The data, the type of list is dependent on what kind of thing you put into it. Okay, so then we need an array in much the same way we just made one over here. So for int I equals 0, I is lower than templates dot size I plus plus. Templates names. So I can spell. Add new resource location. Templates get string at I. There we go. Okay, so now when we get to the actual processing part, we actually have the list of things. Good, good, good. That should all be fine. So just at the bottom here, we want to say data add template. But we need to get the actual, we need to retrieve the template because we can't just give it a registry name. Okay. For resource location template in message.selected templates. Template registry. Okay, level template, okay, instance. Nope. VO registries. Templates.get. I'm fairly certain it'll take a resource location. So if templates, well, that should be template name, I guess. Does not equal null, then data.add. Okay, and that should mean that we get all of our templates added, which we will test in a hot minute after I come back from my break in about 10 minutes. See you then. everybody, welcome back. And just before we left off there, we have added quality control to the applied templates section. So now if you remove one and it invalidates one that's further down the line, then that one gets removed. We have added a randomize button, so you can just have the system pick a random set of templates for you. And now we're attempting to actually have those templates be applied when we actually click finalize. And we are most of the way there, I think. This should work by all rights, but let's find out. I wonder if these streams would see a mild jump in popularity if I was a VTuber of some description. There's a question to ask. What would I be though? Would I just be like a block? Would I literally just be a cube? Cube tuber. What is the most appropriate form for a programming streamer to actually like take? I mean, I guess I could just be a fox. We have one right over there, but that seems too obvious. Okay, troglodyte, randomize, so insectile and celestial. So those are all. That means that when we click this button, we should end up with at least 2 activated abilities: Smite, Evil, and Dark Vision. Oh no, 3 because we've got Climb as well. So here goes. We did not. What happened there? There was an error. Apparently. Okay, what happened? Packet, species collected, selected, rather. Template names to string. No, that should be fine. What happened? Species selected this line because abstract collection to array to yeah, I see what happened. Templates instead of template names. That's what happened. Okay. So the packet could not be decoded on the server side. So nothing changed. We're still just a basic troglodyte. Which, you know, nothing wrong with being a basic troglodyte. Lots of troglodytes are basic. It's kind of where we get the term. Sure. Everybody has to be the savior of the realm. Some people just want to sell shiny trinkets at the local market, that's fine. Okay. Let's go with insectile celestial again. Okay. Just so we know what we're getting. Okay, top left, we have more activated abilities. Because it has applied. Hooray! So that is our Climb and our Smite Evil. Yep, good. Climb comes from the Insectile, Smite Evil comes from the Celestial, so that is both those templates have applied. Yep, down here. Good. Hooray! And if we just pick Troglodyte with none, I note that we still have stuff. Oh dear. Okay, that's a thing that we probably want to clear then. Clear templates. There we go. I'm guessing if I go through and I pick a different one. So say... Oh, that's interesting. It's still got them in. Huh. Fascinating. That shouldn't be the case. Aberration extraplanar reptile. Why has it altered the actual thing? That's curious. That doesn't make much sense. Oh, that is a bug for later line. I guess. Just a quick look at the book. What happened? Insectile and Celestial. We applied the Insectile and Celestial. The Insectile is what made the Aberration creature type. How did that affect the root of the whole thing? How did that make... Ugh. That's gonna be an annoying bug to dig out, I gotta tell you. Okay. But anyways, it works. Ish. So we are gonna switch over to various equipment and try and make a more set of wings than the butterflies that we made last time. Which I don't think was last week, but God bless us. Fairly recent. Right. So, since last time I kind of added cloaks, because I saw that, Elucent, the developer for Eidolon, added a special winged cloak. I was like, I could probably make cloaks, and that's probably a meaningful thing to add. My brain was stuck on Eminif for some reason there. That is the former devil of witchery. Anyways, very straightforward for the most part. It heavily resembles the Britannia cloaks. There's a problem when it comes to making big bulky pieces of fabric and such in Minecraft, which is let's see if I just bring it up. Yeah, Cloak of Balance, whatever that one is. Is there a decent image in here of somebody wearing this thing? Apparently not. Does everyone just wear the Cloak of Sin? Is that what I'm getting here? Okay, that'll do. That will do. Okay, so this is how Britannia does its cloaks, and it's fine as long as you're standing perfectly still and ideally not holding anything. Because when you are, your arms are constantly clipping through the actual cloak, and if the cloak itself tries to move, because it's one object, what will generally just happen is that it'll just start clipping entirely through your entire body, and it'll just... Effectively, it's hard to get something that's supposed to be one contiguous object covering your entire body effectively looking good in Minecraft. There's just not really a great thing around that. There's not really much way around that. So I've tried anyway, because why not? Why not? So here's me currently. I went with a like actual pauldrons on the top. I guess I could theoretically make this area much closer in and have it still be a kind of a cloak, but like as though your arms are like coming through slots. But yeah, it looks a bit ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie. I've tried to make it so that your shoulders never clip through this top section. That's kind of why they're moving up and down, which has this nice little effect of the animation there, a little bit. It's not perfect, because for whatever reason, and I'm still trying to work this out, if I hold an item, the pauldron on the side of the hand holding the item is supposed to be going up, but for whatever reason, the opposite one currently does. And I don't know why that is. Doesn't make sense. But there we have it, apparently. So, dyeable cloaks. I made them. They're not great, and I need to work on them a bit more probably, but they're there. But anyways, last time we made these butterfly wings. And I still maybe want to increase the size of them a bit. They're a bit on the small side, but we can use them if we actually had a lighter on, because we don't actually have the flying ability here. There you are. We can. They will flutter whilst we're actually like running. So there we go. And they're very simple. They are just a series of planes. It is 2 planes per side. So down here we've got one, and there we've got another one. You can kind of just make those out to be going in slightly different directions there. Their angles change, because there are in fact 4 wings rather than the 2, even though it ends up looking like 2, because butterflies, effectively. And that's very simple. That is extremely simple. That works fine in Minecraft. What doesn't work so well, or what is harder to do in Minecraft, is more complex wings, like these on the Ender Dragon, which are the wings everybody wants, basically. And I've been putting off making these for that exact reason. But, like, the Ender Dragon is the only thing that has, like, with the exception of, and the Ender Dragon and Phantoms are the only things that have wings this complex. Everything else, it's just a cube. Like, it is just one cube flapping. This one isn't even like, oriented to the body of the, chicken. So, yeah. If the actual, like, devs at Mojang haven't done it, it's probably for a good reason. But effectively, this is just, 2 wings, like 2 wing portions, with 2 cubes each, and they're just like on a, they're just on a flap, kind of like that. So, bleh, 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 bleh. Fairly straightforward. We can program that really easily. The trouble is, both of the creatures that use these complex wings are effectively constantly in motion. They never set foot on the ground. They never put their wings away, they're never sneaking, they're never swimming, they're always constantly flying, which means that these kinds of wings, by design, are only ever like present in one kind of animation. So consequently, they don't work with literally anything else. You can't fold these wings up because they're a flat texture here. This is not like an animated sprite. This is not like swapping textures. This is just one texture, which means it only makes sense in one orientation, namely the flapping animation. If the Ender Dragon was to, like, furl its wings away, like, along its side, maybe, we'd need a whole new model, because this won't work. And that is more or less what we're gonna have to do to make more wings, to make more complex wings than these, as adorable as they are. This is a very cute look. So, yeah, that's what we're doing now. That's what I have rambled my way around avoiding so far. So, let's see. We want item, bauble. I have so many. Item wings. So, of the complex shapes, what am I going to add here? Dragon, feathered, angel, bat, demon, witch, or phoenix. Oh yeah, I don't need bat, I should also put, like, gargoyle. There. And those are the ones that in the series Gargoyles, from way back when, which for whatever reason had a lot of the Star Trek Next Generation cast and voice roles. That when those are folded up, they're like a cloak around you. So there's that. So I'm going to give all of you the option here of which one I do these on, because it almost doesn't matter too much which one. I know you're going to say which, or at least I'm fairly certain you're going to say which. I'm leaving which out because that is a whole kettle of fish. and also somewhat defeats the point because they're not really present. They don't render in a lot of circumstances. They're a toggled kind of thing. But yeah, so what do we want to start with? These pretty much all have the same problem. So do let me know. The distinction between like feathered wings and angel wings, by the way, is that angels are generally depicted with just the one pair, but occasionally, especially when you get to the more how do I put this? Occasionally, when you get to the more like higher levels of angels, there's more wings than that. Let me see. Who's a good candidate? Middlesbrough, I guess, maybe? I mean, it really depends on the artist, but I feel like angels of significant standing should have more than... Sure, that'll do. This is from Deviant Art, but it gets the point across. Here we have Metatron with 3 pairs of wings. 6 total. It's like, okay, yeah, this is... That gives a better intent of angel than just Birdman. Harvey Birdman. That kind of thing. Let's be kind and say dragons. Okay, let's start with dragons. But okay, so let's get some reference imagery of dragons. Also known as the last thing I can possibly do to to make this be to make this take longer, I guess. Cosplay does seem like a good option. Like, cosplay especially is going to lean on the capacity of fabrics to fold, which we can't do. I mean, we technically could, if we effectively gave up on texturing and rendering, texturing and modeling entirely, and literally just rendered the shapes as we go. But for that, we would need to know exactly where all of the parts of the wings are in order to draw the connections between them, and oh boy, it'd work, theoretically, at least for like things that have distinct spines in them, that ideally don't move too much. More complex shapes, more difficulty. But if it was just a matter of here is a square that is flexing, then that we could draw with the actual rendering engine rather than actually having to model or texture it. Texture would still be possible, but it would have more of a flex to it, that kind of thing. That would work. It would be massive overkill, very difficult, especially for me, who notoriously sucks at graphics coding in general. And it would be unlike literally anything in both vanilla and I think also modded Minecraft. I don't think anything has animated rendering to that extent. So, yeah. Anyways, let's have a look at videos here. DIY dragon wings, how to make dragon wings. Moving dragon wings. Dragon wings test. Sure, let's take that. Let's see how these look. Fairly straightforwards. And I'm guessing that these are... No, these appear to be string operated. So this would be a pulley system, probably. if I had to take a wild guess. And they just furl out. The out part is fairly straightforward. It's more the like when they're inwards kind of thing that concerns me. But they're mostly working on 2 points. So we can theoretically make it a bit easier on ourselves. A teeny bit easier at the very least. The main thing that is going to be kind of a huge problem is that if we want to have a sort of like we probably ideally want to have the full spread out flapping kind of state, and then we want to have more the kind of showing off kind of state, which is a bit more like this. I guess these are more or less in that state. These are not prepped for flight right here. They're just sort of like, yay, I definitely have dragon wings. And then in theory, want to be more like say that'll be fine. We want to also have the option to be more like this, where they're completely against the body and they're in their lowest profile state. Which is probably what we'll have them be under most circumstances. Saves us a bunch of trouble and whatnot. The question is, how do we do that? Because I think that might require, like, definitely 2 models, possibly 3. Where's a good dragon for this? That's technically a wyvern. Technically. Technically, I guess they're interchangeable, but yeah. This is me being a nerd about dragons. Is there a dragon that's got his wings just, like, furl up? Not quite. Just, like, a dragon, like, in their nest, I guess. Dragon lair, is what they're called. Nope, that's classical... that's classical video game Dragon's Lair. Where presumably Don Bluth had so much fun. Can I just look for Aragon, maybe? Just trying to think of classic dragons here. Okay, yeah, Aragon's doing it. Right there. Yeah. So there's like so we got effectively 3 different states that we need to figure out how to model. And boy, that's gonna be tricky. But we're gonna give it a dang good shot. Starting with dragon wings. Okay. Okay, so that gets our item in. Add that in. Yes, I know it doesn't exist yet. Working on it. Verminfrax? Is that who you're thinking of? Oh. I'm actually not seeing wings on Vermifrax here. Oh no, wait. Some really beat up old models. Understandable, this is an ancient thing. Yeah, there's the old model of Vermifrax, apparently. Woof. But that's about all I got there. So I don't even see wings there. But no, there are wings. Oof. Possibly also technically a wyvern. Okay. trying to think if there's a way that I can actually just make this, simpler. Is there a way that I can, like, condense the code used for wings and such into this? Probably not, so I'll just leave it as is for now. Okay. That will give us a dragon wings item that looks like untextured butterfly wings. Apologies if that offends any dragons in chat, but we will be fixing that up shortly. Let's bring in our biped as a test here. Okay. There is Steve Minecraft. Oh, there's bedtime stories on YouTube. Okay, dragon wings. Dragon legs, dragonfly tail, dragon head. Sure. Let's just assemble, why not? Oh, I didn't give this the tags, so it doesn't know that it can be there, yes, of course. 1 second, there was one thing I forgot there. Forgot a comma. At least it's not a semicolon, that always happen. By the by, as presumably performance chugs at some point in the evening tonight, in the Discord there is currently a thread called Operation Lang's New PC. It was formerly called Operation Golden Fennec, but nobody understood what that meant, understandably. And that is related to finding parts for and funding the acquisition of a new machine that is not, no offense elemental, dying. So, give that a look if you feel like helping out a bit. As in addition to stuff like Patreon and donations and subs and whatnot, which are to the aim of keeping me alive, feeding me, housing me. From Rain of Fire, which ended up looking a lot like lighter versions of Vermithrax. Give me 1 second. There we go. So there we have. His head is the weirdest thing. His head is like the least appropriate thing for being a dragon, but here we are, nonetheless. I also have dragon legs. There's a quote. Yeah, there you are. There. One of these things is not like the other ones. But okay. Right. So, yeah, bobblehead. Very much bobblehead. So the first thing I'm assuming I'm gonna need is the flappy mod. The flappy model, I guess. And then I guess theoretically I can. The main thing is the membrane. The membrane is going to be a masshead hassle. Especially because the angle that the way that the Ender Dragon's wings, which are, we're going to say our test case for this, move, is completely parallel to, or perpendicular, I guess, perpendicular to the actual like direction of the texture. So that bends along the texture, and it doesn't have to worry too much about parts overlapping that shouldn't. Gigantic head, large expressive eyes, small legs. It's a chibi cobalt, I guess. But anyways, let's just start by giving ourselves the basic like view of what these should look like. So we'll just go straight at the back. That's gonna be a pain in the texturing, but we'll take it. So how have I made it? Been a while. So that's about 1.5, I think, would be good there. Okay. And then we'll want another shorter one as well. Like maybe it's not to be shorter by itself. It's just a matter of how much wingspan we want the dragons to have. I'll say 10 over there. And wing left 2. Okay. And then from that we can bind that to there and add some pieces going straight down so that we can actually have like texture. And when it's flapping it'll just be lit along the side. Straight forwards. Well, currently straight backwards, but still. You get the idea. So I'll just quickly chuck those into here. Strip out basically all of the animation for right now, I guess. This is Valrod Creature Construction. This is various equipment, which is an add-on for various oddities, which currently adds a bunch of interesting weapons, a mild alchemy system, and a heck ton of cosmetics to make you fit in more of the monster crowd, especially because various oddities now allows you to actually be a creature yourself. You yourself can be an oddity. Okay, just grab this over here. So rotation point for that is 1F, 1.5F, and 2F. Yep. We don't need to worry too much about the texture offsets at this exact moment because we have no texture. Say -1, -1, and 0, and then it is 2 to 10. And then we actually want to be binding wing left B to wing left A, so that as the first part moves around, the second one moves at the end of it, rather than us having to animate it, much like a horse. So, inner wing limbs should be slightly shorter, and outer parts should be longer. So that's 6 and this 10, or that 8 rather. Something like that, shall we say? Take it by be an oddity mean beyond the player tag system. Yes, also the player tag system does a lot more now. The old player tag system is now effectively a full-blown character creator. But yeah, check out Modding in Bedlam. There's tons of stuff in there. Anyways, before I get too caught up expounding upon my own works. A little shorter, but looks good. I think 7 should suffice. Yeah, there we go. So 7 and 10. Again, don't need to worry about texture at the moment. -1 and 0. Yes, good. Right. Rotation points. It is an increase of 7 on the Z-axis from the parent. But yeah, the tag system has now expanded so that we have actual data pack conglomerates called species, which contain both creature types, which have actual attached abilities and effects now, as well as other abilities per species, so that you can just pick an option. You can pick an option at the start of your game, and you can play as a creature. Effectively, you can be an oddity. Not necessarily all of the oddities that we're adding, but a lot of oddities. And now we've also got templates, which we have worked on tonight as well, to further modify species that you could also pick at the start. So if you wanted to be a winged kobold, you can. If you wished to be a celestial troglodyte, you can. If you wished to be a zombie kobold, that is also a thing you can do. It's like, options. Okay, we'll start with just the left for the moment. Being aquatic has some interesting side effects. Yeah, because Minecraft, one of the things we found out with aquatic is that if you're aquatic, rather than being amphibious, if you're aquatic, you can't breathe air. So you need to have you need to be in water all the time, or you need to be you need to have the water breathing status effect, because I made that work both ways. The way that the turtle helmet in Minecraft works is that it constantly gives you the water breathing effect until you're in water, so that you then have an extra 10 seconds. What that means is if you're wearing it and you're aquatic, you constantly have the water breathing effect, so you constantly can breathe air. Entertainingly. Okay, that looks to be fine. I don't think the right wings are referenced currently. That's good. Okay. I'm just gonna go down here and actually alter the orientations just a smidge. So let's put, let's see, and there, that should do. Okay. Wing left A, rotates, angle X equals let's say 10 degrees, minus 10 degrees to be exact. Left B, rotate angle X equals positive, twice that. Okay, that'll just give us a little bit of an angle here. And let's also angle this out a little bit. Okay, let's see how that looks. Yeah, we got other things. 2020 line, I'm going to make a mod to add kobolds so I don't have to deal with this atrocious jungle mod. 2022 line, the monster manual is now a fully implemented and playable feature of Minecraft. 2025 line, as you can see, the quantum mechanics simulation is now way less cost intensive and should run on even lower end PCs. That's quite a jump in 3 years. But yeah. Hey, Monty. But yeah, it was a matter of a lot of the oddities are significantly more dangerous than vanilla Minecraft stuff. So it made sense to add items that made it a bit easier for you to deal with them. So we have a bunch of, like, weaponry over here, varieties of weaponry and armor and whatnot. And then we got a bit more into the RP side of things, so we started like, okay, this is helmets, that hood, that kind of thing, blindfolds. And then when I got to RP and asked for cosmetics, well, naturally it's my community, so they went hog wild, and we got a ton of them. So we've got a whole ton of tails, we got a whole ton of horns, including, of course, the obvious one. We got a whole ton of, like, ears, we got some, like, piglin parts, that kind of thing. Like, so much stuff. So much stuff. And quite recently, we even added wheelchairs. So, yeah. For our disabled adventurers, because everybody gets to. Okay. So how does that look for size so far? I think it's a good start. Let's add the second one and see how that looks. So more or less just clone this. Ooh, not all of it. And then the rotation point for side, I think. Must be a negative one.
12 a.m. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
If you remember going to the Nether in full iron and probably being laser beamed to death by a floating skull. Yeah, magic damage go burr. Yeah, because it bypasses armor. Now we have resistance to magic X and such, so you can actually decrease the amount of damage that magic damage does. Okay, the right doesn't need to mirror, so that part is fine. There we go. Okay. Did a stretch. Goals are impossible to bypass, and you wish you could have got the footage of them hunting you down. I mean, they were meant to make the end cities more dangerous. Because most like in vanilla, the end cities are honestly just annoying. It's like by the time you get to an end city, you are already pretty geared up, and the only thing that shulkers do is a little bit of damage and giving you levitation, which admittedly, in the end, is dangerous, but by that point, you also have a ton of ender pearls, and at least a water bucket because you fought the ender dragon. So it's like, not actually that scary, despite the fact it is ostensibly the literal end game. So just, adding the end golems gave them a lot more teeth. But they had the weakness that, much like the Guardians, they had to be able to see you to attack you. What am I coding whilst playing Minecraft? I am coding Minecraft, in short. Okay, so how does that look for the basic struts of some wings? I almost feel like that needs to go lower, honestly. Oh, 12 of them ganged up on you? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that would be painful. Why though? So that we can make, so that we can have our character look like this, I guess. Could code fruits in Minecraft? I could, but that's not this kind. That's not this kind of mod. So I'm taking this dragon head off. It is weird. Okay, so if we add some just like basic struts down from these, we should get an idea a bit better of what the wing looks like, rather than just being what it currently looks like. Oh, is that actually hovering slightly? Yep, yes, I think it is. Unless I've modified it at some point. That looks like it's attached. Why does this one look like it's not? I must have increased that at some point. Okay, I'm just kinda, let's see. So that is 1.5, and 2. Flat on the x-axis. Yep, good. Perfectly aligned in the middle. And bring that to about there. You're going by length, not by angle of wing. Oh, I don't know what you're referring to there, Cam. Let's see, 0F, 1F, 0F, and that is 0, 4, and 7. And I feel like this one should go deeper down, because this one is going to be the one that's like at the tip, and it's probably going to be the part that has the most lift to it. That said, it might end up being weird, looking a little weird, but we'll find out. Yeah, I feel like the primary difference between dragon wings and angel wings here is going to be angel wings will be more or less like that, possibly even like that, whereas dragons want to be a bit bigger than that. So they have like room to really curve. And maybe I even get there. Very basic, very simple. Not terribly interesting when they're just untextured cubes, but the Ender Dragon makes it work, so hopefully we can too. So just gonna slightly shrink the tip a bit, so it looks like there's more meat on the first one. God, Ragnarok Online, those go back a bit. Okay, let's see how that looks, and I'm trying to think, what's the butterfly wings? There you are. The code for crouching. I'll just get some motion into it. By the time you manage to kill 1 or 2 end golems, 3 more come into range, and as you are recovering your health, the rest arrive to make 12. I don't recall them being able to move other than up or down, so... It's like the standard trick with Guardians, is you just, like, place, like, a pillar or blocks and just circle around it to where they can't see you. The end golems can't even move. They're in a city. So it's like... Well... I don't think they're currently implemented though, so... Fair play. Exponential growth is the scariest thing you can never subject a computer to. Yep. The end golems get teleports? I don't remember programming that. Okay, I missed one, evidently. Oh yeah, I had 2 of the same, that's why. Yeah, you can really see the trouble that happens when you start to subject this to animation. Just doesn't like it too much. No idea why there were 2 became 12. Probably it was an issue with the spawning algorithm at that point, because the Never Fortress has its own spawning algorithm. Whereas the end cities don't. All of the shulkers that you find in an end city come with it when the end city itself is spawned, and no later. But also, you can't change structures like that too much, so it became a problem. The end golem spawning was very hacky to that extent. Oh, and I'm actually over time. I'll be back in about 8 minutes. See you then, go enjoy your break. And I will enjoy my little treat. What we got in here? What is Luca giving me? A creme egg. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody, to the final hour of our evening, and we are currently endeavoring to model dragon wings, which I've avoided this for a long time for a good reason. So, anyways, see how we're starting off here. Could probably do with extending this a bit, as well as this a bit considerably, just so these line up. And it is also currently using the animation of the butterfly wings. But how does that look for scale? Does that look appropriate scale for a dragon wing kind of cosmetic, given the scaling and everything else going on here? What do we think? Have we got the scale right? I think that's good. Obviously it's not textured yet, but we're working on it. So let's see. First pieces need to extend at least one more extra step, I think. And then the bottom pieces at least two more. And that should cause these to actually join up. Bumblebee fast station flap? Oh boy. That would be... Well, I've got a bunch of other wings I need to implement. Dragonfly wings are on the list, so... who knows? Okay, so now they actually join up. Well, you need to be very careful with the texturing, but now they actually join up. So that's something. Yeah, I think that is a reasonable, like, size ratio. Okay. So now the problem of making multiples, because this model, we could theoretically use this model as the flying one as well. And just like rotate along the y-axis there, as well as here. In fact, I can actually do that right now. What is it? It's 45. Did we just increase that to 45, I think? Then it should go from blip to blip back. This might look kinda weird, not gonna lie. This is flapping without any actual built-in QC, so don't be surprised if this looks weird. Weirdness happens during creation. Oh yeah, but we also get a bunch of newbies in there. So I like to remind people that this is not final product by any stretch of the imagination. This is in fact literally the first product. Yep, that's about what I expected. Okay, let me change this. So let's see, over, say, 10. And that to about 30. And maybe I decrease the angle of the first portion here a bit. In fact, maybe just leave it at 0. Maybe, who knows? And then I guess if that works, then we can theoretically just have a separate model for when they're closed along the back. The sort of low profile model, I guess. And then we can try and get some texture onto these, at least. Some very basic texture, at the very least. There we go. Now we do see that problem very clearly. But not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. I think that's a pretty good start, at the very least. I almost want to put a third piece in the middle, but... something to at least, like, make it more of a curve than what we got currently. But it's looking like wings, so hey, there's that. Yeah, the Ender Dragon only has 2. I think Phantoms have multiple? Let me just summon a Phantom. The Phantom is going to die. Just putting that out there. Because I need to give them fire resistance, and even then they'd be covered in fire, so either way. No AI. And it's silent. So yeah, they only have 2, and they don't bend that much, actually. Let me see. Just want to see for a hot second. 27. Okay. That's clearly not worked out quite right. There we go. And those all have a very slow and floaty method of flying. The way they slowly glide through the air is very odd compared to the Ender Dragon. Yeah, the Ender Dragon is a much more active creature in that regard. I like that they have aerons, something like that, ailerons. Whatever the like tips the wings piece is. I like that touch to them. It doesn't quite work when they're stationary like this, but yeah. But yeah, now the problem is that the extra piece that we added here at the end to make this actually to make it connect when it's in that kind of like pose mode, is now very clearly and obviously not connected in flapping point. So, how do we fix that? What we could do, and this would be very sneaky, is, as F3 and D to check those, is separate this end bit that we added to make it connect into its own thing, with its own texture, and then rotate that to be closer to this. But that would still have the problem of different texture, because every time this pose changes, it needs to be a different texture, or else it's not going to line up properly. So we'll start off, at least, by just getting one form of this textured. Plonking it to our non-flapping pose, as it were. Let's see the wing Y value. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And let's figure out the texture mapping of this. The wings flapping as they do now only makes sense if the character's moving like they're flying from ledger, which is how the flight ability in various oddities works. But otherwise the wings should just yeet them backwards without giving them any lift. Correct. There is a hover mode with the flight ability, but it's obviously a little bit harder to show off with this exact mode. Those values in for texture. Twitchy wings equals dominance pose. Is that just the witch wings? Ball joints the likes of which God has not seen. Now there is, or from specifically in these notes, there is a wings mod, where wings are the only thing it does. And it does, to its credit, do them very well. But they are extremely densely modeled, lots of cubes, and extremely heavily animated. To the point where they feel like they came more out of Half-Life 2 than they came out of Minecraft. To me. They're still using cubes, but it is very weird. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing, that's why I can't find it. Okay, and let's drag that into here. And I think it's the red wing I want to get rid of. It's not hard to replace. Okay, so now our cubes have actual texture points. So they know where they know where their texture should be drawn from. The uncanny valley effect that so many heavily animated mobs in some mods evoke, the you have too many moving parts compared to anything else in this dimension effect. Correct! Or as we have come to describe such occasions on this show, heresy. Okay, so we have a different texture scale, apparently. Height 16... Oh, I think that's 34 by 32. Let's have a look. The multi-block tails Lang has come up with. Look at... Yeah. Yes, 64 by 32. The tail on the back here is heavily inspired by the Ender Dragon, for instance. It has fairly minimal, like, animation to it, and it is predominantly just 3 cubes. So... Dusty piping up, because Dusty assisted in modeling that. Doesn't have the same duo color to it. That's the same bichromatic kind of nature to it, because when you're dealing with things that are being dyed, it's a matter of this thing has 0 dye or this thing has 100% dye, not a matter of this thing is black and this thing is white, which are diametric opposites. And unfortunately, lack of dye just ends up being black. So... Yours is specifically for your son, just happened to be useful by my okay. Well, it's always fun. It's always helpful not to have to reinvent the wheel. There we go. Still some little tweaks, let's see. But yeah, probably because this is using different sizes. Let's see. That is first one is 8. Here it's 10. That can be fine. No, that's 7. 8 and 9. And the other one is 10 and 11. Yep, correct. Okay. A little bit then. If I had two colors of something, let's say a very dark color and a very light color, and the player then dyes this said thing green, would the result not just be dark green and light? Okay, when it comes to a dyeable texture, it tends to be in black. It tends to be monochrome, shades of grey. And the brightness of the color on the texture indicates how heavily it is the target color, as opposed to black. If I had color in it, what would happen is you would mix the colors, which tends to be unintended. Precisely, Wolfram. Add red to a blue thing, and well, add blue to a red thing, and you end up with purple. So the textures for the dyeable parts of leather armor, for instance, are all like very bright, but nonetheless shades of grey. Now it should be ready to go. Now there is such a thing known as an overlay, which is to say, having some parts of a model not be dyed at all, so they are always the same color. That's what happens with the brown parts of leather armor when you dye it. Some parts get dyed, other parts stay the same. So that you can't quite as easily spoof wearing diamond armor as you used to be able to do. But in order to dye also that other part a different color, we would need to have a second internal variable saying what the second color is, and also some way of specifically changing that value and not the original color variable. And that's where things get really complicated. Okay. So there we have our kind of like show-off kind of pose, I guess. Let me get at the weak Y value. Let's just be 10 degrees. Not sure. Let's say 30, I think. So we have some spread there. Yeah, let me just get the actual, regular looking tail. I think it is default black. Let's see, what's one that has an overlay? Maybe the dragonfly tail, maybe? Yeah, so there's that regular one, and then there's... has gone missing. Now, suddenly, apparently, that one has just been erased from existence. Oh, the foxtail. Foxtail has an overlay. Let's just get some dye. So there is the dyed cyan blue foxtail. And you can see the white at the end hasn't changed. If we go to the default one, still there. But only the fur has changed color. Getting some fashion, some capacity to have two separate dyes is not easy in the slightest bit. So we tend to stick with just the one. Unfortunately. So now, next question. How do we want this particular model of wing to fold up into its low-profile form? Do we want it to be completely on the back? Do we want it to be kind of like splayed to like more like chicken wings, I guess? So bleh bleh. We have Gargoyle, the animated series wings, already in the listing, so that feature will not be in this one. Change the... I could have sworn I just changed the Y value. Ah, that's why. Literally, that's why. Just trying to get them separated a little bit so that we can then actually texture them swiftly and quickly. At that end, I should probably bring up the texture for dragon legs. Where's legs dragon? There's legs dragon. The gargoyle's wings that turn to capes are so damn good. Yes! So that's the texture that the actual dragon legs were used. Where's the dragon tail? Yeah, the dragon tails, more specifically. There we go. So yeah, we've got the white, we've got this shade of grey, we've got the darkest it gets is there. Full disclosure, Goliath was an eye-opening experience for me. That voice. I mean, a lot of the voices in that show probably awoke something in a lot of people. Oh, that is the opposite direction. Do not dragon wings usually fold up alongside the body akin to bird wings? How would that look on a player model? That is the problem. Because that assumes that they are further out and wrapping around here, but obviously on a humanoid that doesn't quite work because we've got to deal with shoulders and arms and stuff. Like, they're usually wrapped around a trunk that is much longer and much rounder than what we have here. Like, the Ender Dragon never folds there in some way, so it's complicated. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Gag. Hey, dude. These are all of the, like, complex and difficult questions that we have to ask when we're designing these particularly complex cosmetics. These ones don't even actually, like, give you the capacity to fly, because they're intended to be used with the actual flight ability. Later on, I would like them to actually, like, turn off the rendering of an elytra you're wearing, but that's a bit tricky to do. That's some complex injection. Okay. That's a bit more like what I wanted. So that is what it's. That's the pose it's meant to have when you're sneaking like this. Yeah, they are attached enough at the very least. This is the showing off pose, as it were, I guess. So let's get some texture here. Let's see. Let's grab the Ender Dragon texture real quick. Electro visibility top level, wouldn't that be nice? Entity. Lucian! Hey, good to see you. And the ghosts. The Ghost Industries peeps. Hello. We're making wings. Because I hate myself, apparently. Alright. So, these are the pieces that go into the Ender Dragon's wings. As you can see, they're quite complicated because the Ender Dragon has the benefit of being massive and therefore having a fairly dense texture. Like, there's even scale patterns in here that we cannot replicate without just going to ludicrously dense texture size. And that's just what her wing look like. So, what does the L look like there? Okay, L is on the far end. Just have a look up there. Right, gotcha, I think. This is gonna be very rough texturing, just saying. Because an artiste, I am not. Okay, let's just try that real quick. It's a start. It ain't great, but it's a start. I maybe want to make these parts longer, so they go further down the back. Now let's see. I think this is the equivalent of the piece in the actual thing, so I'll take that. We can add more detail to it later. Now the Dragon Wings item hasn't been told what its default color is just yet. So I think it's just white. Or rather, a shade of grey. Yeah, I probably want to make that higher res texture, don't I? Can I just rescale this? I wonder. Will this scale properly? Let's find out. No, it will not. I have an option for sharp. Linear, that'll do. Nope. Dang it, come on. Work with me here. There we go. Okay. find out in a hot second, I guess. I think I don't. That might be part of the issue. Not sure. Okay, let's dye these wings black so we actually can see a bit clearer what's going on with them. There we go. So how do these tie in? Let's see, it starts out small, and it has kind of a bulb, I guess. Yeah, this is frustratingly difficult. So that's more or less what we've got so far. That, yeah, I can see the problem there. Okay. How am I drawing this? I think that looks a bit better. Let's find out, shall we? Yeah, so are the ghosts tonight? I think that does look better. Interesting that the silence tag does not affect the flapping of the wings of the Phantom. Yeah, do we think that looks good? Do you think it needs to bend more, less? Let me know. Dusty, I defer to you as the resident dragon connoisseur, let's say. the ender dragons fold in, which is a little weird, actually. Let's see, where would the metatarsal be here? Probably somewhere about here? Look at me using fancy biological terms like metatarsal. It's not, again, not gonna be perfect here, because I'm doing this hastily, and I'm a programmer, but nonetheless. There we go, got some detail to them now. Not much, but some. There you go. It's a bit more visible now. I think it's quite perfect, but hey, it's something. Right, let's add another animation here. So flying is the actual point where they're flapping and such. I believe we had code for them flipping here somewhere at some point. But let's not undermine everything I just did, so yep, just to be on the safe side. Forget which variable here controls the speed. Let's hope it's that one. Right, that should give us a nice bit of control there. Okay, so let's now control the X's of these. Okay, that's a start, at the very least. We probably have them use the should wings be flapping while you're swimming? Bearing in mind, the swimming pose is also used by when you are compressed by a piston. So, I'll go with that for right now. Typo City. Oh, if I typoed somewhere. I think I'm good. I think it's fine. Yeah, I think I do want to make this part deeper. So we just then have more room to work with that way. For right now, it's what we got. What I can do is for each wing, I can have multiple multiple panels for the actual membrane part, and then I can switch between those based on whatever model pose we're using at the moment. Okay, so there's us with our wings just being on display. Let's get an Elytra on so I can actually fly and see how that looks. That looks pretty good to me, bearing in mind I can't actually check it. I can't check it overhead because I'll just swan dive. I do feel like instead of it being just the constant flap, that it should reflect how much our character is moving their limbs. Like, that should be the point where they're flapping most. Is it limb swing amount? I think, yes. Let's find out. So seriously, nobody's made me exercise this entire stream? Wow. Stunning. Is the select screen should, instead of just having a skip button, it should also have actually got an option for Steve, effectively. Steve/Alex, I guess. Monty. Alright, fine. We'll see how this looks. And then I will do some squats and we'll close out the stream. Still a little weird for me. Not that we can see the whale, the tail wiggling. Oh, yes, but thank you very much. Legs. Swim animation. There we go. So if we take limb swing and then multiply the output of that by limb swing amount. Should be the same thing, but mostly when our legs are swinging. Still need some QC, but we're getting there. Went completely upside down there for a hot second. Alright. There we go. Right, there's the end of our coding for today, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed that. So I got some swats to do, and that means I actually finally get to show off my outfit. haven't had a chance to do that today so far. Yes, there we go. I don't think I can show the front of the front of the pattern on these socks without revealing quite a bit too much for Twitch. There we go. Yep. Foxy socks. Alright. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. Oh boy. Oh, that click was my kneecap. Okay. So, my next stream will be on a Thursday with the World of Madness crew. Fairly decent chance we'll be playing Sea of Thieves. In which case, I would very much like to do my 25th run of the Fort of the Damned that I've been working on for like 2 months or so, because it is not. It's not a trivial thing to do the Fort of the Damned. It's trivial to do it. It's trivial. It's harder getting there and actually completing it. But bleh. Then on Saturday, we should have the carousel, playing some random games with the patrons and talking about what's been going on this past week. And any videos I make are over at youtube.com/humorcomic, and everything I do is powered by you at patreon.com/lying. Hope you've all enjoyed. And for me, Karen here, catch you all next time.